Hello, Virgo. You made a choice, a difficult one, a necessary one. You walked away, not out of spite, not out of anger, not out of a desire to punish anyone. You walked away because you had to, because staying meant losing yourself, because staying meant accepting less than you deserve, because staying meant pretending that what was happening was okay when it wasn't. And that walk changed everything. It showed them your worth, not in a way that words could have done, in a way that action did. When you walked away, you sent a message that was louder than any argument, any explanation, any plea. You showed them that you know your value, and you showed them that you're not willing to compromise it. Now they see it clearly. The distance between you has given them perspective. The absence of your presence has made them realize what they had, and they're coming back with something new, something different, something they couldn't offer before. A relationship, a real one that honors you, one that commits to you, one that doesn't play games or keep you guessing. They want to offer you a relationship, and they're serious. Let me tell you what happened on their end. When you walked away, they experienced something they weren't prepared for: a void, a silence, a sense of loss that they couldn't explain or dismiss. They thought they could move on. They thought they could replace you. They thought they'd be fine, but they weren't fine, because you weren't just someone they were spending time with. You were someone who had become part of their life, someone who had become part of their heart. And when you left, you took something with you that they can't replace. They started thinking about you constantly. They replayed moments, conversations, memories. They remembered the way you made them feel, the way you listened, the way you showed up, the way you saw them even when they were at their worst. And they realized that they had taken you for granted. Now they want to make it right. They want to give you the relationship they should have given you all along. They want to show you that they've changed, that they understand, that they're ready, and they're coming to you with an offer. This offer is different from anything they've offered before. It's not vague, it's not conditional, it's not half-hearted, it's real, it's intentional. It's a commitment. They're not asking for casual. They're not asking for friends with benefits. They're not asking to keep their options open. They're asking for something serious, something meaningful, something that they're ready to invest in. And they're hoping you'll say yes. Now, I know you might be feeling a mix of emotions about this. Part of you might be excited, part of you might be scared, part of you might be skeptical. And all of that is valid. You've been hurt before. You've been disappointed before. You've opened your heart and had it broken before. So it's natural to be cautious. But I want you to consider something. Walking away was the hardest thing you could have done. It took strength, courage, and self-respect, and it also created this moment where someone who didn't value you before is now ready to give you everything. That doesn't guarantee that things will be perfect, but it does mean that the dynamic has shifted. It means that you're no longer the one who is chasing. You're the one who is being chosen. And that's a powerful position to be in. Now, let me talk about what this relationship could look like. Because if you decide to say yes, you need to know what you're signing up for. This is not going to be a relationship where you have to prove yourself. It's not going to be one where you have to convince them to stay. It's not going to be one where you're always giving more than you're receiving. This is going to be a relationship where you are valued, where your needs are considered, where your feelings matter, where you are seen and heard and respected. And that's what you deserve. They're going to show up differently this time. They're going to communicate more openly. They're going to be more consistent. They're going to make you a priority. And they're going to prove through their actions that they've changed. But you also need to be clear about what you want. You need to know your boundaries. You need to know what you will and won't accept. You need to be ready to communicate those things clearly, because this is your chance to build something healthy, something that lasts. So take a breath. Consider what you want. Consider what you're ready for. And know that whatever you decide, you have the power to choose. Walking away showed them your worth. Now they're showing you theirs. And it's up to you to decide if it's enough. Now, let me go much deeper into what actually happened when you walked away, because this is where the real story lies. When you left, you weren't just leaving a situation, you were leaving a dynamic, a pattern, a way of being that had become suffocating. You were saying, I can't do this anymore. And that statement, as painful as it was also liberating. You freed yourself from the burden of hoping, from the weight of waiting, from the exhaustion of trying to make something work that wasn't working. And in that freedom, something shifted. The universe took notice. The universe said, this person has finally chosen themselves. Now I can send them what they've been waiting for. Because you can't receive the good thing until you release the wrong thing. You can't hold on to something that's not for you and still have your hands open for what is. So when you walked away, you opened your hands, you made space, and now the right thing is coming. This person's offer is not a coincidence. It's a direct result of your courage, your bravery, your willingness to let go. They saw you leave, and that changed everything for them. They realized that you weren't someone who would just stick around no matter what. You were someone with standards, someone with limits, someone who would walk away if those limits were crossed. And that made you more attractive to them than ever. Because people value what they have to earn. They value what they almost lost. They value what they had to fight for. And now they're fighting for you. Let me also talk about the nature of this offer. Because it's not just about being in a relationship, it's about being in a relationship that is different, better, more intentional. This person has been doing their own work. They've been reflecting on their behavior. They've been examining the ways they fell short. They've been thinking about what they could have done differently. And they're coming to you with a new level of awareness. They're coming to you humbled. They're coming to you ready. That's significant. Because it's one thing to apologize, it's another thing to change. And this person has changed. They've done the internal work. They've faced their own flaws. And they're ready to show you a new version of themselves. Now, I want to address the fear that might be holding you back. You might be thinking, what if they do it again? What if they revert back to the way they were? What if I open my heart and get hurt all over again? Those fears are real, they're valid, and they're protecting you, but they're also keeping you from something that could be beautiful. You have to weigh the risk. You have to decide if the potential reward is worth the potential pain? And only you can answer that. But I want you to consider something. What if this time is different? What if they really have changed? What if this relationship becomes everything you've been hoping for? You'll never know if you don't try. Now, let me talk about what you need to do before you give them an answer. You need to take some time for yourself, time to think, time to feel, time to get clear on what you really want. Don't rush this. Don't feel pressured. This is a big decision and it deserves careful consideration. Ask yourself some questions. What do I really want from a relationship? What are my non-negotiables? What are my deal breakers? Am I ready to be vulnerable again? Do I trust this person? Do I believe they've changed? Write down your answers. Sit with them. Let them guide you. And when you're ready, have the conversation. Be honest about your fears. Be honest about your hopes. Be honest about what you need. A real relationship is built on honesty, and this is your chance to build something real. I also want to talk about what happens if you say yes. If you decide to give this relationship a chance, it's going to be a process. There will be moments of joy and moments of challenge. There will be times when old wounds surface and times when you feel like you're starting fresh. That's all part of it. That's all part of building something new. But if you both commit to growth, if you both commit to honesty, if you both commit to showing up for each other, this relationship has the potential to be everything you've ever wanted. And if you say no, that's okay too. You're not rejecting them, you're choosing yourself. You're saying that you're not ready or that this isn't right for you. And that's valid. Either way, you're okay. You're whole. You're complete. A relationship doesn't define you, it enhances you. And whatever you decide, you have the power to choose. So let yourself feel, let yourself think, let yourself decide. Walking away showed them your worth. Now they're showing you theirs. And the choice is yours. I'll also say this. The fact that they came back is a sign. It's a sign that your worth was not just something you believed in your head. It was something that was real, something that was visible, something that they couldn't ignore. You've proven to yourself and to them that you are not someone to be taken for granted. You are someone to be cherished. And now they're ready to do that. So take a moment to honor yourself. You did something brave. You walked away when it was hard. You chose yourself when it was easier to stay. And that choice has led you here, to a moment of possibility, to a moment of opportunity, to a moment where someone is ready to give you the love you deserve. You made it, you're here, and what comes next is up to you. I'll see you in the next reading.